What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. For today's topic, we're going to be talking about an unpopular opinion of mine. Today, I want to talk about why the generational wealth movement for Black people is a scam, or at least kind of a scam. So let's get into it. Unless you've been living under a rock, there's no way in 2025 you have not heard the term generational wealth. And what I mean by generational wealth is this idea of accumulating wealth for future generations. And you've heard this term being used ultimately all the time by Black people, especially foundational Black Americans. And this term has become somewhat of a buzzword. It's something that you hear and then people try to give different meanings to it, but there's some type of commonality, which that being that there's some type of hustle that somebody does or something that people invest in that allows them to bring in wealth for their family and then future progeny. Before I go into why I believe this concept is a scam, I want to be very clear and I want to give a disclaimer. I am not saying that you should not build generational wealth whatsoever. If anything, I would encourage you to do so. And you should do it by however is the most convenient and adaptable and understandable to you. So in other words, if you believe that crypto is the best way that you can grow generational wealth for your family, then do it. If you believe investing in stocks is the best way, then do it. If you believe investing in real estate is the best way, then do it. If you believe that building multiple businesses, or at least just one really good business, is the way to do it, then do it. As a matter of fact, I think we should be doing all of these different things. I think that we should do the things that are best for us, but we should definitely be utilizing our resources the best way that we possibly can. Because ultimately, part of building generational wealth is being able to have the skills and also accessing resources in a proper way that they actually work for you and they build a way for you and your family to not just survive, but also to thrive. The scam is also not to be concerned about passing this down to your family and whatnot. The scam is in the idea that doing this alone is going to lead to prosperity in Black society, specifically with foundational Black Americans, but with any Black person regardless. The one thing that I've always said, and I've talked about this time and time again, is that a lot of these financial literacy Negroes that I always talk about, they miss one key thing when it comes to how this can positively affect the Black community. And that's that when we are doing these different things, there should be this implementation of pro-Black values. And what I mean by that is there's no sense of creating unity amongst Black people who are like-minded. There isn't this idea of having a code of ethics that we are going to keep our money amongst each other. There's no code of ethics that we are going to build amongst each other. We're going to build up Black Wall Streets. We're all going to have our businesses and we're going to keep our money circulating within our community. Ultimately, everybody is just hustling for themselves. And then they take on that mentality as well, too. It's actually very, wait for it. This is something that a lot of you all have not heard before. Selfish. It is very selfish to do something for only you and yours and not want to connect with like-minded people so you can help the community as a whole. Not too long ago, I had a conversation with someone about this, and this individual was kind of on the well-to-do side, and their question to me was, how can I, somebody who is college educated and also has a decent amount of money, I'm doing well for myself, how can I actually contribute to trying to empower Black people and creating Black unity? And I said, there's a lot of ways, and I think you really know the answer to that. And the reason why I kind of came at them to that degree was because they were trying to make the claim that they were the epitome of understanding blackness because of the fact that they went to an HBCU. You know how that goes. And so I say all that to basically say that they're asking me these questions as if they're dumb, like they don't understand this type of concept, and they know good and well that they do. So I'm saying all that to say there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. You can literally build a business. You can, grow your wealth from the business that you build, right? And then as you're budgeting, you can take some of the money and you can actually give back to people, because of what a lot of people have done a lot of times is they'll give back to these charities, and these charities will be, these different organizations that just put money back into the pockets of a lot of the people in the dominant society. They'll give to these very popular, funding sources that don't end up doing anything for Black people specifically. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do on your own. You can literally create scholarships, and you could have them exclusively for foundational Black Americans, and they could be for them to either go to college, not scratch that, not go to college. They could be for them to, start a business. They could be for them to go to trade school. It could be for them to do something. So you can actually invest in, people who are in the community who want to do constructive things, but just may not have the capital to do that. You can even have grants or, again, different, scholarships that can go to people who want to have businesses who, again, don't have the capital. I mean, think about it. You can, and I'm saying this from experience, you can go to college and they'll give you $70,000 for you to get a degree that will take you 4 to 7 years to get. But you could go to your local bank or credit union and ask them fools for 5 to 10 G's so that you can get something popping. And then they're trying to question you about your history of being able to have some type of income. They want to know about your credit. They want to know about everything that is going on with you. But these other college universities and things like that, they'll just hand you money. My point in saying all this is that you could be the business that does something great for your community by giving back, giving scholarships to people who do constructive things. Maybe have them do some type of essay contest, and then they write to tell you what their mission is if you were to give them that scholarship. So whether it was, again, to go to trade school, or, again, a grant that they could start a business, ask them, what is the mission? What do they plan to do with it? What do they, intend to do that's going to benefit the community as a whole? The problem is that a lot of us have given into this integrated mindset because there's too many of us who are too afraid of upsetting white folks, specifically the dominant society. And you think that opportunities are going to be snatched from you if you just say, hey, I'm too blackety black. So that's the problem with a lot of y'all. And you're like, well, my way around it is just saying, well, I'm just going to give money and that's just going to be it. And that's why I said that ultimately it's a scam, because when you talk about this generational wealth thing, you're saying it in a way where this is supposed to be the end all be all solution that's going to get Black people out of the detrimental situation they are in. That is them being a permanent economic underclass, as Dr. Claude Anderson has once articulated. But what they're missing is that the idea of not having Black unity and not having a pro-Black mindset, one that fixates on trying to help our community as a whole alone, is what's killing this from actually being something that would be beneficial to our community. And also, too, we need to look at the reverse of everything that I said as well, too. So the opposite of generational wealth is what many would call generational curses. And I want to be clear about something when it comes to generational curses. I hate this word. That's what I want to be clear about. I absolutely hate this word. And the reason why I hate this word is because it's so vague, and it's a word that cowards use. And let me explain what I mean by that. People are using this word because they don't want to say what generational curses really are. Because the two things that generational curses really break down to are white supremacy and old nigga-isms. Those are the only two things that generational curses actually mean. And what I mean by that is these are the things that have plagued the Black community from having progression. White supremacy obviously is the biggest thing that's plagued the Black community from being able to succeed. But old niggas are the thing that people really don't want to talk about. But that's also a part of these curses. Old niggas have made a lot of terrible decisions that actually have harmed the community. And it's not just from a financial standpoint in putting a lot of us, that being their progeny, in debt, but it's also the idea that they mentally have also stunted you as well too. Think about it from this standpoint. The reason why you only want to build generational wealth for yourself and yours is because you have an integrated or integration based mindset, because these are the Negroes who wanted to reap the benefits of being in a system of integration. You know, at the time when we were in a system of segregation, black people were forced, and I know some people don't like to use that word to describe it. They were forced or honored, whatever you want to say, to work amongst each other to build something. Because again, we built black Wall Streets all over the nation. But when you have an integration based mindset, your whole idea is everybody just coming together as a kumbaya. But what people don't understand is that there is a covert system of racism that is still impacting black people negatively within that. So I say that to say that there's a lot of us who are preaching this kumbaya coalition where we're coming together with a bunch of people who are still hating on us, bringing us down, and also are racist or anti-black towards us. And that's why a lot of us will go around saying shit like people of color, minorities, and what else? Multiculturalism and all these other terms in order to try to include other people in what we're doing. So that's why I say that I listen to these types of things. I listen to when people say these types of things because it tells me the way that they think about, you know, the code of ethics that's needed to not just sustain generational wealth, but also focus on the way that it's going to continue to be circulated within the black community. The other thing that I hate is that every single time I talk about these concepts, these same financial literacy Negroes love to point to the dusty Negroes that aren't doing anything, that aren't living out their passions, that aren't living out their purposes, and that aren't doing anything constructive. So they love to point to the degenerates that don't make up all of the individuals who are constructive, who do work hard and just need the capital to get things popping, who could help to build up society so that it can be better than what we see it is for black people today. So let's say, well, I've given to black people, I've done this, I've done that. You didn't assess what their mindset was. You didn't assess whether or not this person was like-minded, whether they were building something constructive, whether or not they flow and they gel well with you. Because that's another part of it as well, too. Do you gel well with the person that you're working with? Because we all know you may not always get along with people who you're doing business with. Like, you all might not always be on the same page, but if there's a certain code of ethics and there's certain things that need to get done, then you put all that stuff to the side. My point in saying all that is that you have to look at all of these things. Am I working with people that I work well with who have the same ideals and belief systems that I have? Am I working with people who are constructive and that type of thing? What you all do is you wait to find the most degenerate person and then say that I was nice because I tried to work with them or I gave back to them, and you didn't use discernment yourself. And then you said, well, this is why I don't want to do anything, for black people, because look at what these Negroes do. And here's the thing too, even if you catch a dud, try the fuck again and don't bitch and say, well, that's the reason why I'm on this whole trip about trying to have financial literacy for just myself, because look at how we do, look at how we talk to each other, look at the way that we deal with each other and that type of thing. I'm trying to find a way to make it clear that we need to do everything in our power to make sure that millennials and future generations don't basically become the new baby boomers, because millennials could be the first generation that could easily go to that side of the fence. And what I mean by that is, and I can talk about this in another video, millennials are the generation of confused activism. And let me explain. They're the generation of confused activism because we're a group of individuals who have always wanted to make a difference in the world. We've suffered through listening to the browbeating and the criticisms and the nitpicking that's come from older generations, especially the baby boomers. And we followed all of the rules and all the things that they said that we were supposed to do and still got the short end of the stick. And what I mean by that is not just when it came to college and finances, but even when it came to how to deal with white supremacy and racism and handling those types of things. we were duped, and further, in a lot of cases, we were sold out. So a lot of us are trying to figure out what is the best way to make a difference. And all of us are at different stages as a result. Some of us are waking up and we're seeing that they were just a bunch of old niggas who done swindled us. And then there's some of us who are like on the same wave and thinking just like the people who, again, gave you all of these different mindsets, mentalities, and advice that ended up screwing you. So we have people who are all over the board in our generation. Now, a lot of them Z's, they really ain't bullshitting with people. They want to get things popping. You know, they see the problems and they call it out. But a lot of millennials are, again, the confused generation. And I think there's different things happening. I think we need to understand the breakdown. The end of the silent generation and all of the baby boomer generation is where the old Negroes are. The X generation is what I would call the old Negro sympathizers. They're individuals, they don't want to be open buck dancing sambos like the old Negroes. They don't care about the idea of just selling full out unless they can just reap the benefits of, you know, the dominant society, or the trinkets, I guess, of the dominant society. They want to actually create an aesthetic of pro-blackness while still doing and capitulating to the agendas. And then, again, we have the millennials, the confused generation, which are the generation of individuals who want to make a difference but are trying to figure out the best way how. And as a result of being confused by the poor guidance of other older generations, there are a lot of us scrambling to figure out our way. Some of us becoming pro-black, some of us going down that whole seat at the table intersectional direction, and some of us are just turning into just straight conservative. So there's a lot of us who are just trying to figure it all out. My final words on this topic is that the concept of the generational wealth movement is a scam, because it's a concept that is often talked about without proper context and without all of the pieces to the puzzle. And the main piece that is missing is the idea that Black unity and a certain code of conduct needs to be added to this in order for this to work. And if it is not, then it is a faulty system that will just lead to everybody individually profiting, but not necessarily the empowerment of Black people in being what we used to be. This is very, very important, because there is a way for this to actually work, but we have to have people who are constructive and like-minded, who are willing and want to build with one another. And what I mean by people, I mean Black people exclusively. We don't go off the rail. We don't go off the grid. We work with people. We seek these people out. We find talented people. We look to see who are the people that we can work with and who are the people that we can build with, so that we all can grow as a community. And I think this is especially helpful, or especially needed, with foundational Black Americans, because there are a lot of us who are experiencing this issue of being culturally erased in a country that our ancestors built and also made flourish, especially once again with the building of these different Black Wall Streets all over the United States. Last thing that I want to say, stop being so damn afraid to call out Sambos and coons. A Sambo is a Sambo, a coon is a coon. If you see somebody cooning or Samboing, there is nothing wrong with calling that person out. And I'm going to be real, because this is the one thing that you all don't want to hear, but I'm just going to have to say it. A Sambo isn't always a butter biscuit performative clown. Sometimes there are these Negroes who get on platforms and talk shit about the Black community, especially on white dominated platforms, under the guise of wanting better for the Black community. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and I definitely will have more to come in the future. In the meantime, I would love it if you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the bell icon, so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel. And then when you're finished, leave me a comment below, and then I'll get back to whatever it is that you had to say. Other than that, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out, y'all.